Hey y'all, this is a video response to bookworms with a U as opposed to with an O. I think that's fun. That's a fun way to do it. And I like spelling bookworms like that because it sort of reminds me of how worms are, squiggly and, the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out type stuff. Uh, Good old friend of the channel and pivot man of the sewing circle. Anyway, nearly in old school sewing circle fashion, he made a video about how people just don't want to learn these days. And he brought up that his local library had a nonfiction book club and they're having trouble getting interest. And it seems like people are mostly interested in fictional literature versus nonfiction, and how that could be an indication of how people do not want to learn. Immediately when I was watching your video, I thought personally to myself, whenever you see a statement like people don't want to learn, and me as an individual, I do want to learn, something like screeches in my head like people don't want to learn, but I want to learn. Am I not people like and I know many people around me in my field uh, and my peers, they're always learning. I don't know if they're necessarily eager or if it's just out of necessity that they have to. But we're constantly training, constantly learning, and I know many other people on the YouTube who do quite a bit of stuff. Now it's pretty much within their passion, but the firearms and the disaster preparedness stuff, I mean, all around us on the YouTube here are people that are in a constant state of learning. Now, it does become more difficult, I feel, as one goes along in their experiences and in their own ideas. It does become more difficult to convince a person to change or to adapt to something new and different, and you see that with some people. But I would say that people are still very much eager to learn, and that you need to use caution when you think, oh gosh, I just saw this thing, and oh, it's evidence that society is on a downward spiral. You know what I'm saying, man? What rings true, and I know I've said this before, and I know some people may be tired of hearing it. You're gonna find what you're looking for, man. And if you think that everything's a certain way, uh, then you're going to find evidence to support your theory. You're going to find people that are more interested in watching Dancing with the Stars than going to bed early and waking up and catching their newspaper in the morning. But if you look around at your peers and you count your blessings and you count your friends, then you're going to find something a little bit different, I think. As evidenced by the audience you have on the Tactical Gearhead channel. I mean, those people are eager to learn. They're eager to see how technology is progressing, and yeah, that's what I think. Now, there's not a lot, and there's not going to be a lot, because I think traits such as intelligence and adaptation are not necessarily something that you're going to see in the greater part of the population. It's going to be to one side of the curve. You know what I mean? But you got to be cautious and not get bogged down and think, oh gosh, society's circling the drain, because I don't think that's the case. And in closing, I would say the reason why that we think the future looks dark and the past looks so bright is just because our perspective is such. All that we have to do, or all that we have to go by, is our relative moment in the present tense. So the worse we think the future is as the unknown, the brighter the past seems, because you always have to compare things to each other. I would venture to say that the late 70s and the early 80s, and maybe even all the way through to the mid 80s, were a very, very terrible, terrible time for the society in the United States and probably the world as a whole. Uh, just to prove my point on that real quick, you know. So there you go, man. I don't think that people don't want to learn, and I believe that their interest in fictional literature, dude, at least they're reading, you know, and I think it offers them an escape from their lives where things are they have to respond to things. You know, they can indulge in a fictional flight of fancy that historically, back to time immemorial, my friend, the way that lessons were taught was through fictional anecdotes. The way that moral lessons were really driven home was to have them framed in a story that really captured the audience's imagination. So I figured I'd just throw some food for thought on that for you, man. And I look forward to the stuff you're putting up, and I'm really digging your new format. So there you go. We will see y'all soon. Then y'all take care.